Hello everybody. In the previous video I demonstrated how easy it is to prepare a USB drive with Ubuntu, a popular Linux distribution. There's also another really easy way to investigate and experiment with Linux, and this time we can use Linux in a virtual machine. Now there's some special software that we can download. It's called VirtualBox. It is developed by Oracle and it lets you load multiple guest operating systems under a single host operating system. Now I'm currently running on Windows 10 as the host, so I want to download this package here, the Windows host link, and we can see it's VirtualBox. That's the latest, currently the latest release of VirtualBox, the stable release. So I'm going to save that file. I'm going to save it into a Linux folder. And so I'm going to download, and then I'll show you how to install the software. Now it's 109 megabyte download, so it won't take too long to download on my internet connection. So we'll just bear with me for a few seconds while it downloads. It's almost downloaded, so it's downloaded. So I'm going to open the file. And it's now going to I'm going to install Oracle's VirtualBox to my computer. I'm just going to go with the defaults, Program Files, Oracle VirtualBox folder. Not going to change that. I'm going to leave all these options checked. So creating a start menu, shortcut on my desktop, shortcut in the quick launch bar, and registered file association. Don't need to worry too much what that means if you don't know. And it's going to temporarily reset my network connection. So if you're doing something that really was network dependent, that you're doing a big download, you might want to wait until your download is complete before clicking yes. And I'm going to install the software to my drive. Now I get a user account dialog box, which I just have to prompt yes. I don't believe that shows on my video. So that the installation is now running, and it's prompted me to start the VirtualBox as soon as I click finish, and we'll then see VirtualBox. And there's VirtualBox. It's already detected that I had an image of Fedora. Just ignore that for now. So we want to set up Ubuntu. So what I need to do is create a new virtual machine. So I click the new button and I'm going to call it Ubuntu 17.10. It's automatically chosen the Linux operating system, which is correct, and I have downloaded the 64-bit version of Ubuntu 17.10. There's also a 32-bit version, but I recommend 64-bit if you've got a modern processor. So I'll click next, and we're then prompted to set the amount of memory that we're going to allocate to that virtual machine. So the amount of memory to allocate to Ubuntu, because Ubuntu is the guest operating system, and Windows 10 is the host operating system. Now this machine that I'm running on has 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now Ubuntu doesn't run particularly well if you set it too low. The system is recommending that I allocate 1 gigabyte of RAM. I'm going to increase that to 2 gigabytes. So 2048. And I can either now So now I can add a virtual hard disk to the machine, and I can either create it now using an existing file, but because I'm starting from scratch, I'm going to create a virtual hard disk now. So I'll click the create. It's going to be 10 gigabytes in size, which is quite small, but it will be sufficient just to investigate and experiment with Linux. And there's 3 different types of file types, but for our purpose, we'll just leave it as VDI. And it can either be stored dynamically, so that files will grow in size, or it can be fixed size. I'll leave it as dynamically allocated. Now it's asked me where it's going to save. I'm just going to let it save that virtual hard disk file to the default directory. Click create. Now what I need to do is tell the system where my ISO file is. So I go to settings. We'll have a look through some of these menus, but I know it's in storage, and at the moment it's empty. So I just want to set now where the ISO file, which I downloaded previously, I downloaded that in the first video, where it is on my hard disk. So I click the little drop down, choose the virtual disk, go to my Linux folder, and there is the Ubuntu ISO file, the disk image file. So open that, click OK, and that is set. And we can see some of the settings. So it's telling me that I've named this as Ubuntu 17.10. I've allocated 2 GB of RAM, 16 meg of memory. I can change that. Let's change the memory. So I'll increase it up to the 128. We can enable 3D acceleration. That's a good thing to select. Now I'm running this on an Intel i5 processor. It's a quad-core processor, and I'm going to let my virtual machine access all 4 of the processors. Click OK. There's lots of different options. You can go through them all about audio, network. I'm not going to go into any detail about them. This is just the first run through of VirtualBox. Shared folders is quite interesting. That's definitely one that I'll come back to in a later video. So definitely that's really useful functionality in there. So we'll click OK, and now we'll start the Ubuntu 17.10 by clicking the start button. And basically now the process that I'll be going through is installing Ubuntu 17.10 to my hard disk, but without affecting my host operating system in any way. So Windows 10 will not be affected by me installing Ubuntu 17.10, and this software allows me to run both Windows and Linux at the same time. So it's a fantastic way of experimenting with different types of Linux distributions and other operating systems. You can run Windows 8 within a Windows as a guest on a Windows 10 host. Now we've got various options here. Obviously I'm going to select the English, and I want to install Ubuntu 2, and there's options. You can download updates while installing, so that is useful to save. Now there are some proprietary software, some third-party software. I would install that as well. So I'm going to click continue, and it's giving me various options. Now don't worry that it says erase disk and install Ubuntu and delete all your programs in all operating systems. That only refers to, that doesn't refer to the host system. That will not be affected at all. So don't worry that it says erase disk and install Ubuntu. You're not going to be erasing your host operating system. So I'm going to click install now. And it's just giving me some information about what partitions to change. But again, this partition is just a file that's on my Windows 10 host computer. Click continue. It's prompting me whereabouts I'm in the world. Well, London, yeah, that's correct. Continue. So I press continue. And I can set the keyboard. I don't know why it defaults to American keyboard, but I'm in the UK. So I click English UK. It's selected fine. Just make that a bit bigger. Click continue. And we've got to choose a name. So I'll just choose my name and I'll just make up a password. Let's make up a better password than that. Like that. I'm going to log in automatically. Click continue. And it's almost copying the files. And now the Ubuntu installation just gives a bit of information about what the distribution has. I think it's a good time just to have a quick chat about other popular virtualization software that's available. VirtualBox is not the only popular virtualization software. Another very popular virtualization software is VMware Workstation Player. Now, VirtualBox is open source, but VMware Workstation Player is proprietary software, and while it's a no charge download, you can only use it for free for non-commercial use. So that's something to bear in mind. Both VirtualBox and VMware Workstation Player are excellent software packages for running multiple guest operating systems under a single host operating system. Now, this type of software isn't only useful for that type of function. The software is useful for other things, for testing purposes, and there's lots of different reasons why. Testing and disaster recovery, it makes software installation easier, and it's good for infrastructure consolidation. But for home users, probably the main reason why you'd want to use this virtualization software is so that you can load multiple guest operating systems and try out lots of operating systems without affecting Windows at all in any way. So there's some useful information that you get in the install process. Ubuntu is introducing to some of the software that comes supplied with the distribution, and there is a plethora of software. Rhythmbox music players currently showing is one of the best open source applications for playing music. Really good. So as you can see, this installation does take quite some time, so you just have to be patient while it's downloading, and I'll skip the rest of this and I'll come back to you once it's completed the installation. Right, so now the installation is complete, and we just need to click the Restart Now button to restart the operating system, and it's prompting me now to remove the installation medium and then press enter. So all we need to do here is press enter. VirtualBox restarts and will load now the guest operating system, Ubuntu 17.10, concurrently running with Windows 10 as the host. Doesn't take long to boot, and there we have it. This is Linux running on a Windows 10 machine. So let's have a quick play with Ubuntu 17.10. We can make it full screen by going View, Full Screen Mode. And so now we can see the whole desktop. There are a few icons down the left hand side. Firefox web browser, you've probably used that in Windows. Rhythmbox, an open source music player. There's a file manager. Software, which lets you install Linux applications. Some help button. And there's a link to Amazon. And there's also a show applications folder at the bottom. Now, the system has automatically told me that updated software has been issued since Ubuntu 17.10 was released. Do you want to install it now? So we'll install that software now. Click the Install Now button. And it's installing. Just type my password in. And we can click the details, and it shows you what packages that it's installing on my system. And whenever the system detects that there are new packages, it will install them. It will prompt you and install them for you. So it makes it quite effortless. And really what this is doing is just installing newer versions of various software packages that weren't released at the time that Ubuntu 17.10 was released. Albeit Ubuntu 17.10 was only released last month in October 2017. But the nature of open source software is that there's constant development, there's constant updates, but you probably have that obviously with Windows 10 as well, with software updates. So this process doesn't take very long, and then we can have a quick experimentation with the software. It's asked me to restart now or later. We'll just restart later. Just have a quick look. Open up Firefox. There we go for the first run. we'll just have a quick look at a website in Linux. Have a look at BBC News website. Obviously, because this is a new installation, you're going to get all these cookie policies that you've got to keep clicking on every site, but it will remember them for later. That's Firefox. There are lots of other software available. Various solitaire game. LibreOffice, which is an office software package which you may have used on Windows. And there's other software as well. And I'll cover them in a later video. But that's the basics of installing Ubuntu 17.10 in a VirtualBox. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel.